Good evening, pilots and mercs. Yes, I do realize I'm using the older model for good evening, pilots and mercs. If you're wondering about the new model, well, it's the older model that I had for this channel, but I wanted to see if everyone in the video side of things liked this particular model or liked the old one better, or the new one, rather. Confusing? Yes, I know. Just bear with me. Just don't think too hard about it, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Today we're going to be going over why do we love VTOLs by Mechanical Frog. So everyone grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and let's get right into the film. Mechanical Frog, why do we love VTOLs? Now, I personally don't like the Igors, but personally, we'll get to that later if we get to it. See it. The helicopters are actually kind of cool. I'll give them that. I'll give them that.
Hello everyone. In our previous episode, we talked about a few of the tanks and vehicles that you could add to your Battletech games to liven things up. Today we're going to go one step further and tackle VTOLs. The VTOL holds a unique place in the 31st and 32nd century battlefields, and they can be a blast. Let's talk about a few of them that I think could liven up your next game of tabletop Battletech. The first is a personal favorite, and it's found in a rather unlikely place. The much-lauded and legendary 3060 technical readout has a few interesting entries, but one of the gems is the Hawkmoth gunship. This 25-ton VTOL is sleek, stylish, and carries one of the best long-range weapons in the Battletech universe. Designed and produced...
Hey, would you look at that? It's a, goose rifle.
By Michelson Heavy Industries, the Hawkmoth is the result of an effort to build on the success of their previous VTOL design, the Yellow Jacket gunship. While the Yellow Jacket was armed with a Gauss rifle, the Hawkmoth would carry a light Gauss rifle, which would provide battlefield commanders some flexibility in their long-range fire systems. One of the limitations of that Yellow Jacket was the Gauss rifle's ammo, which is addressed in the Hawkmoth, which carries 32 shots for its light Gauss. While this does sacrifice some damage, the range boost and ability to stay in the fight longer could be worth it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of suffers the same thing as your Irbies or Javelins of the light mechs. You're gonna get about 5 to 16 shots for the Javelin, and then you kind of have to cycle them out. But at that point, it's really not that bad, usually. As I've seen in a lot of tabletop games, you really only need 1 or 2 ammo bins, and anything beyond that is just excessive and really is just going to get you blown up on the battlefield. Especially when it comes to ammo just absolutely erupting inside these things. And there's not going to be much armor here, so would not want to get hit and blown up.
Design for the Hawkmoth moved forward after a deal was struck with Imperator Automatic Weaponry, which would provide the light Gauss rifle.
Which, actually, to note, Goose rifle ammo should be inert, should be. So I've heard from other pilots. I don't know that for certain. But I think, yeah, it should be inert. So this one should be safe from that, at least.
In exchange for the right to purchase the first VTOLs off the line. Well versed in the process, it didn't take long for the design to go into production. The design was significantly improved by cutting down on the weight of the primary weapon from Gauss to light Gauss. With more ammo and a higher maximum speed of 130 kph, the Hawkmoth's survivability and longevity was improved significantly. That speed is necessary as the VTOL is relatively lightly armored in comparison to other units in its weight class, though the most obvious defense is that if your Hawkmoth is taking fire, you're using it wrong. If you're looking to employ some light VTOLs that can put down some long-range harassing fire without breaking the bank, the Hawkmoth may be worth your consideration. It would be impossible to do a video on Battletech VTOLs without talking about the Warrior H-7 attack helicopter. It's one of those very functional units that's found across the inner sphere due to its cost, reliability, and usefulness in a variety of situations and roles. The Warrior was first produced in 2950 by a division of Lockheed CBM. It was intended to be an...
Is it just me, or does the Warrior look like a submarine? Look at that fin. That looks like a sub. I have never seen a helicopter like that before. I'm not going to knock it. I would assume it could fly. It's just I've never seen it like that before, but in all seriousness, I don't think it matters necessarily as long as you can produce downward thrust and then kind of points it in the direction you need to go. It shouldn't really matter all that much.
An expensive weapons platform that could be a viable alternative to light scout mechs. The prospect of fielding these utilitarian VTOLs was met with some interest. The company sought out the Lyran Commonwealth, which at the time was lacking a ready supply of those previously mentioned light scout mechs. However, there was little interest in what they represented.
Light scout mechs. I mean, of course, they have an abundance of the crater finders. Sounds like the name of a website. Anyway, we're moving on. We're moving on.
Described as a flying toy. The future of the Warrior was in doubt, as it seemed there were few buyers interested in the light VTOL. However, following the disastrous damage incurred during the 9th Battle of Hesperus, the Lyrans suddenly found themselves in the market for anything that could carry a gun. That included the Warrior. Orders started coming in, and once the Warrior was seen in action, the VTOL was in consistent production. Weighing in at 21 tons, the original Warrior was equipped with an autocannon 2 and an SRM-4. This provided the VTOL with long and short-range options in combat, though stand-up fights were not a good plan, as the paltry 1.5 tons of armor meant that a hit by a medium laser would completely wipe out the vehicle's protection on the affected location.
It is interesting to note, I have never heard of, again, most of I deal with is mechs, but I am interested in the combined arms side of things. I've never heard of a vehicle that was specifically, like, normally the tonnage goes by 5s. So to see this thing in 21 tons is interesting. Although for vehicles, I think it's more like I think that's probably more common, is what I'm trying to say.
The Warrior's greatest asset is its speed and maneuverability. At 162 kph, few things short of an aerospace fighter could catch up with the Warrior. Staying on the move and outside of an enemy's firing arc was the path to victory. At this, the Warrior provided a reliable small weapons platform which could scout and apply small amounts of fire when needed. As a scout, the Warrior could be equipped with remote sensors that it could drop and then monitor from concealment. That shared data has led to the destruction of many who had no idea their presence was detected by the units with the Warrior on their side. The Warrior attack helicopter can be found in garrison units across the inner sphere. Their usefulness and flexibility makes for an easy buy for planetary governments. In a notable example of effective use of Warriors in the field, the raid by Wilson's Hussars on the planet Kimball 6 was frustrated and then finally routed by a company of Warrior H-7s which continually harassed the battlemechs from range. All attempts to close in on the VTOLs were avoided when the Warriors scattered and then reformed elsewhere. Ultimately, the Hussars were led into an ambush where multiple mechs were taken down by SRM and Inferno fire. With such widespread use and availability, there have been upgrades and variants introduced for the Warrior. This includes pulling the SRMs to upgrade to an AC-5, swapping out the AC entirely to install LRMs, and others. The most notable upgrade to the design was proposed in 3048 and consisted of a series of upgrades including a new engine from internal combustion to fusion, ferrofibrous armor, and swapping out the original weapons for an LRM-5 and 2 Streak SRM-2 launchers. The Warrior H8's upgraded armor is significant as it doubled the protection on the left and right sides. Now it would take more than just one lucky hit with most weapons to take down the Warrior.
And the AC-5 autocannon does reach out a little bit farther than most of the SRM systems, so you do get a little bit more range like the gunship from earlier. And the fact that you have to have a confirmed lock means that you're less likely to waste ammo. Now, I personally don't run it because there's no need for me to lock on as a mech jock. There's really no reason for me to lock onto a target that's like within window washing distance. So again, for some vehicles it makes sense. For me, not necessarily, but I can see why you'd want to do that.
Access to that upgraded armor was threatened by the FedCom Civil War. However, in the years since, the Warrior has been able to employ it. The planned upgrades to the Warrior were temporarily derailed by the clan invasion. However, after the Tukeyid truce, the breathing room allowed these plans to commence. The upgraded engine freed up space and weight to upgrade the SRMs to Streak systems, which drastically improved the accuracy and damage on target for the Warrior H8. In notable action against Clan Steel Viper on the planet New Exford, 6 Warrior H8s were used to effectively harass and delay the attacking clan force. The Viper mechs and elementals had trouble countering the Warrior's speed and maneuverability. Buying time for the defenders, the Warriors paid the price by losing 5 out of the 6 VTOLs. That time was used well, however, as the Steel Vipers were eventually forced to retreat from New Exford without victory. At the dawn of the Ill-Clan era, the Warrior can still be found serving in various armed forces. There is an H7F version that returns to an ICE engine and is equipped with an Ultra AC2 and tag, though it hasn't been extensively produced. Time will determine what role the Warrior will play in upcoming conflicts. However, there remains a need for a light and fast scout vehicle in the field, and the Warrior has successfully filled that niche for a very long time. Now to flawlessly transition in a complete other direction in our love for VTOLs, I want to give a new design some love. Weighing in at 50 tons, the Cardinal Transport filled an important role in the 32nd century battlefield that was much more likely to see mixed arms forces rather than just battle mechs. This is especially true when dealing with the clans. Clan Seafox, in their infinite wisdom and willingness to profit off the desire of Inner Sphere states to go to war, created the Cardinal in order to fill the role as an assault transport. It first entered service in 3112 and has been popular due to its durability, ease of maintenance, and ability to transport 3 squads of Inner Sphere light battle armor or 2 points of clan elementals safely to their destination, even under heavy fire. Thanks to its LB2X autocannon, LRM-5, and 2 anti-personnel Gauss rifles, the Cardinal...
I'm sorry, what? Did you just say an LBX cannon on a gunship? That is some spicy firepower right there. And the AP Goose rifles to boot is actually pretty decent too.
Can linger on the battlefield and provides fire support for the troops it delivers. It has 5 tons of ferrofibrous armor, which provides considerable protection for a VTOL unit. Clan Seafox met the considerable demand for the Cardinal from the DCMS.
I want to point out that this has more armor than Assassin or Cicada. Yes, I'm going to dog on those mechs even harder. Any chance I get to absolutely diss them is a welcome time. 4 tons of armor versus the 5 on this thing. Which, to be fair, it is 50 tons, but still. How does a gunship beat your mech? Like, when I can take this thing and some troops for the same... Probably not the same amount of Seabills, but still. It's a gunship and has more armor than you do.
Mercenary units in Republic contracts, and even the Jade Falcons were eager to snap them up before their drive toward Terra. Because of its highly refined fan motor system, Clan Seafox recommends purchasers of the Cardinal not mess with their loadouts. As a result, there's only been one notable variant. The Republic of the Sphere re-engineered their Cardinals and replaced the standard weapons loadout with 3 Clan small pulse lasers and an MML-5. This freed up some space to expand the infantry compartment to hold 12 tons rather than the standard 10. One of the first Clan Jade Falcon units to embrace the Cardinal's capabilities was the 5th Battle Cluster under Point Commander Maybell. As part of the larger supernova of mechs, elementals, and armored vehicles, Maybell's unit dropped from Cardinals in their winged Sliff battle armor, which then dove down on their intended targets from high altitude. This rapid assault strategy served the battle cluster well and fit within the swift and powerful battlefield philosophy of the Jade Falcons. If you're looking for a transport that can move your armored infantry into the battlefield quickly, the Cardinal might be the solution for you. As one of the more unusual modern VTOL designs, the Gossamer is a 25-ton vehicle that defies their traditional design norms.
Is that a jet with a turbine just stuck in the middle of the damn thing? What a terrifying design. I am both terrified and I am both impressed and terrified at the same time. This one ought to be interesting. I want one just to see how it functions.
Built around a single fan that makes up the bulk of the ship's central core, the Gossamer can reach an incredible 183 kph and can do considerable amounts of damage with its 3 Clan Tech medium pulse lasers. It was created by the Raven Alliance as a vehicle for their Salama and Freeborn warriors. However, since its introduction in 3123, it has been spotted among other states and militaries thanks to Clan Seafox. The Ravens procured a promise that none would be sold to the Draconis Combine, but the VTOLs started to show up in the Free Worlds League, Lyran Commonwealth, and were incorporated into some Republic of the Sphere units before the fall of Terra.
I do want to point out that I love how this thing uses medium pulse lasers. Medium pulse lasers. So this thing has a chance of actually being really darn good. Heat efficient, odd looking design, but it might just work. Even as like a VTOL even. That is terrifying.
With 3.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor and the previously mentioned 3 medium pulse lasers, the Gossamer fills a powerful fast response and strike niche that other vehicles would struggle to match. Even though the Ravens saw the Gossamer as a garrison unit, the VTOL was so useful that it ended up being incorporated into active Raven units. In an attack on a pirate band on Tramaldix, 5 Gossamers piloted by Salama pilots were used to harass and hobble the pirates after a hotly contested landing. Even though all 5 Gossamers were eventually shot down, the damage they inflicted was considerable and contributed to the ultimate destruction of the pirate band. The Ravens have produced a variant of the Gossamer that uses an extra light engine in order to buy room for an LB-10X instead of the medium pulse lasers. Though this swap could be questionable for the Gossamer's general purpose role, it could be designed to counter infantry or even other VTOL units it faces.
See, I don't know about an LBX-10, like, for a VTOL, I'm not entirely sure. Because, again, I would personally go for the medium lasers because you essentially can fire infinitely, right? Like, this is a light harasser that can infinitely attack you with its fusion engine versus basically a gunship. It's like I can see where it'd be effective in some cases. I'm not saying that it's a bad design. I think it's pretty decent. But now you have limited ammo and you potentially have a spot, besides this thing, where you can just hit the ammo and then this entire thing ruptures. Internal ammo explosion detected. Because it just, like, you might have a bunch of armor on the frame, but if you can hit this, I mean, when it's going to its regular speed, you're not really going to be hitting it all that much, but like, I would rather be equipped with the 3 medium lasers.
With a battle value of just over 1,000, taking a Gossamer is a bit of an investment. However, it's a bit of a wild card that could throw a wrench into your opponent's plans. If they're running a lot of lights and fast movers, who expect to be hard to catch and hit, the 3 clan medium pulse lasers could change things up. Our last entry into this little ode to the VTOL is the Cavalry, produced starting in 3054 by the Michelson Heavy Industries Corporation. The Cavalry is 25 tons and was designed as a rapid-moving harasser in engagements with clan forces. Armed with an SRM-6 and 3 SRM-2s, the Cavalry can cause significant damage in the right circumstances. With 3.5 tons of Star Slab 3 armor, it can take a considerable amount of punishment and still make it out of a firefight. Cavalry units operating in the Chaos March earned a reputation for carrying Inferno missiles in their launchers, which caused firestorms when fired into a forest or light structures. The prospect of multiple VTOLs swooping in to cover the battlefield with flaming liquid death is sobering, to say the least. During the FedCom Civil
I will take your entire stock. The entire stock. The fact that I could spread fire across the battlefield from the air is, well, they call it a Geneva checklist for a reason.
War, the cavalry was used to great effect by both sides of the conflict. The notable drawback to the cavalry includes a relatively small supply of ammo for the SRM launchers, and no secondary weapon system, which limits how long they're combat effective in an engagement.
This isn't MechWarrior Online. Please take a secondary weapon. Again, kind of the drawback, but you don't usually need too much ammo in tabletop anyways. But for a VTOL, you should be able to fire and then scoot your way out of combat.
Still, if the crew and the commander are Spartan with the VTOL's use, the cavalry can be quite effective. One of the variants of the cavalry sacrifices additional armor to add another SRM-2 to the VTOL. This is considered somewhat reckless, but VTOL pilots aren't known for being conservative and meek. Another variant, which started to show up in the 3060s, replaced the internal combustion engine with a fusion engine. This bought enough space on the cavalry to add a 4-ton cargo bay for infantry transport. This multi-role transition also sacrifices the SRM heavy loadout and adds medium lasers and machine guns instead. I envision the cavalry as a fast-moving mini SRM boat, and at the battle value of only 503, it could be worth giving it a try in your next battle. I think we've caused enough damage here. As we move closer to the Kickstarter, I hope the Battletech fans are as excited as I am to try out some of these new units in their tabletop battles. It's going to be a great year for Battletech, and I feel blessed to share my passion for it. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. If you have a favorite VTOL unit that I didn't include in the video, please feel free to yell at me down below in the comments. Thanks to the Ko-Fi crew for your continued support. Don't forget to hit all the buttons and share the video with someone else if you think they might enjoy it. Take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.
Okay, so he didn't cover it, mostly because I think the Igor was added towards the MechWarrior 5 side of things and really was only there for that side of things, but I think the Igor was something similar to the Warrior over here with the autocannon vibe. So essentially, yeah, gunboat, it'll mess up your day, and it caused me a lot of trouble with my Centurion back in the day. Again, just a note from the MechWarrior 5 side of things, I don't think the Igor was actually supposed to be canon in any sort of capacity, but something that annoyed me quite a bit and would have been interesting to field in the Battletech series. Anyways, if you like today's video, please make sure to support the original creator. The link will be in the description below or in the cards. Let me know what you think of this particular model, if I should use it more, or if you want to see the other one. Other than that, this has been call sign Annika, signing out.